What color are we?
You'll see. Man, does it feel good to be back yet again. College baseball is officially underway. College basketball is getting closer to their conference championships, and the NFL offseason has officially begun. All of this and so much more coming up on College Crossfire.
What are those? He's coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that.
What the different kick you get kicked.
You know, bags of money or whatever, some food inside of them. Okay. All right. We're gonna keep on.
Good evening and welcome into the College Crossfire. Hey, nice little crowd noise. I'm your official host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we have an action-packed show today for you all. Before meeting our contestants, I want to share with you, though, that today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system, who connects you to work, school, play, and everywhere else in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. All right, let's go ahead now and meet the players of tonight's contest. Introducing first, the man on a hot streak who claims he has the best takes in all over the world, Tommy Yarrish. Tommy, how are we doing?
Well, first of all, I don't remember saying that.
You said it.
But thanks for having me back. The great Kobe Bryant once said, job finished? Job's not finished. What's there to be happy about? We go for three.
Man, if he's quoting Kobe, you better take home the trophy tonight. We'll see. Going for the three-peat, Mr. Tommy. Introducing second, a legend on the show, looking to reclaim the throne, Grabiel Silva. Grabiel, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, going against Tommy and Robert. This is going to be a really great show. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Love the humility from you, man. Welcome back on the show. And introducing third, the man who is making his first appearance of the entire school year, my good friend from the H, Robert Gonsoulin. Robbie G, how we doing?
Doing well. I'm really excited to be on here. Like you said, first time in a year. First time ever for me going up against you. You're my host last year, and then first time ever going up against you, too. So let's get to it.
Wow, man. What a great panel we have for
How about
you
the
guy
copy and
tonight.
paste here, too?
Yeah, the copy and paste, my outfit,
jacket,
his outfit.
Same pants, same shoes. Fantastic.
Wait, are you hating? We look that
No, I
Come
said
on
it
now.
just
Fashionable.
Minus
That's
1
terrible.
point. Minus 1 point.
Oh, come on.
Before we get started, though, let's go over the rules of the game, just in case you've never tuned in before. There will be 3 rounds, with each round containing 3 questions, and points will be given to who I believe has the best answer in order of 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the third round wins and gets to come back for next week's show as well. But we can't forget that the third and final round, or the rapid fire round, is for double the points. That meaning the best answer will receive 6 points, and so on. New to the game, in case there is a tied score at the end of the final round, I do have a quick bonus question to see who is crowned the champion. Also in this rapid-fire round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions whatsoever, meaning they will have to improvise, overcome, and just hopefully not get caught in that crossfire. Now that the game is explained, let's get to firing. Right off the bat, get it? College baseball has been off to a strong start. Given the season just started, I get the clap over there, thank you. I want you to make your pick for who you believe will win it all this season and give an explanation with it as well. Tommy, we'll start with you first off.
Y'all do that. Ooh, Pig Suey, give me Arkansas. It's still early in the year, but the SEC, one of the best conferences when it comes to college baseball. I really like what the Hogs are doing right now. Dave Van Horn has not had a losing season since 2016. This guy knows what he's talking about, and even before that, he had a long streak of winning seasons as well. So the Hogs off to a 3-1 start. They had a really tough, hard-fought series against JMU to start off the season, went 3-1 in that stretch. Kendall Diggs has been playing really good for them at the plate, and Colin Fish Fisher is throwing the ball really well for the Hogs right now, too. Still early in the season, but they've got a couple good games coming up here in this next baseball tournament, I believe at Globe Life Field in Dallas, and then have a tough SEC slate, a ton of talented teams there like Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Florida. So it's going to be a tough slate, but this is going to be one of the more battle-tested teams at the end of the year, and they've got a proven head coach who can show that he can win in Omaha.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that answer a lot. Not only are they in the SEC, but they're doing well in the SEC, and we know that competition in baseball especially has been top tier year after year after year. The relievers have been playing well. I like the answer a lot to start us off. All right, Grabiel, let's hear it.
I mean, it is early in the season, so you can't really, make a solid choice. But I think my choice would be the #1 team in the nation right now, and that's Wake Forest. They have a great pitching staff, highlighted by a junior Tennessee transfer, Chase Burns. It's like the guy just came out of a factory, throwing 101 miles an hour with a wicked off-speed pitch. They did lose last night to UNC Greensboro, but to me, I think that kind of loss is great for a team like Wake Forest to get that ugly midweek loss out of the way early in the season, so that you can reset and get into it for the rest of the season. So I'm going to go with Wake Forest. I think they have the offense and the pitching to be able to make a run to Omaha.
Yeah, I like Wake Forest a lot. Tommy's giving me a look over here. I guess UNC Greensboro. Come on now, every good team's gonna drop a game.
College baseball has mid-major.
Exactly.
College baseball has great mid-majors.
I believe in Wake Forest. They're #1 for a reason. They've been a top team in baseball for years and years now. I like that answer a lot. Thank you for that answer, Tommy. You don't got a hit on it. All right, Robert T, let's hear it.
I just don't know where UNC Greensboro is.
I'm going to start off in a similar way as Tommy did. Give me those Florida Gators, the runner-ups in all of college baseball last year, runner-ups in the College World Series, and they lost their best player, Wyatt Langford, to the Texas Rangers, but they still have a ton of firepower. Jack Caglianone, the closest thing in all of baseball that people have said is the next Shohei Ohtani, not to the full capacity, but the closest thing that baseball has seen. Okay. He led all of college baseball last year in home runs with 33, had a 3.83 batting average and 90 RBIs. And on the pitching side, he threw for 87 strikeouts and had a 4.3 ERA. He knows how to handle the ball on both sides, pitching, running, fielding, batting. He can do it all. Also, Florida, it is very early in the season, but why not open? They have had a couple games canceled so far due to weather, but why not come off with all their firepower in the last game with a 10-0 win over North Florida? Let's just show all the firepower we have. I got to go with the Gators.
Wow, I like that call a lot. Love the statistics over there. Man was hitting it out of the park. You guys get that one? Like baseball? I really like that answer, though. I mean, sticking the SEC, I mean, it's just how you got to do it in baseball. So I like that answer a lot. Great explanation. Okay, looking at the points here. With the 3, I'm going to give it to Tommy. Coming into this question, I liked Arkansas a lot as well. Like the explanation as well. A boo from the crowd.
Man, I just told you I was happy to see you here.
With the 2, I'm gonna give it to Robert over here. I like the explanation for Florida. Love these statistics there. They did have that first series canceled due to, I believe, rain and weather. But like you said, coming out fine. With the 1, I'm gonna give it to Grabiel. Wake Forest, great team. A little bit of a slow start, but great answers all around. And we will move forward to our second question.
This gets booed.
Sticking with collegiate athletics, the regular season for men's and women's basketball is coming to a close soon. Looking ahead to the remaining regular season games, what men's game do you feel may be the most important / impactful, and what women's game as well? Grabiel, we'll start with you in the middle.
Well, both my answers feature teams that were shown in these graphics. I'm going to go with the March 2nd game between Marquette and Creighton. Creighton last night manhandled UConn, and both of those teams are going to be neck and neck for second place in the Big East. And right after that game, Marquette is going to go into UConn. So it's a really important stretch there at the beginning of March for both of those teams, for seeding, especially with the tournament coming around and the Big East tournament coming around. And for my women's game, I'm going to choose the regular season finale between Iowa and Ohio State. That's going to be a top 5 matchup. It's going to be an excellent environment. Caitlin Clark just became the leading scorer in NCAA history, and she's going to, try and will her Hawkeyes to a win against Ohio State that, again, is also going to be for the conference. So I'm gonna have to go with both of those games at the beginning of March.
Yeah, I like both those calls as well. Like you said, Creighton last night defeating UConn in dominant fashion. UConn hasn't lost like that basically all season in a really long time. Iowa, of course, Caitlin Clark just broke the record, like you said, against Ohio State, who's also been playing well this year. Two really good games to watch out for moving down the stretch. All right, Robbie G, let's hear it.
All right, similar but different. Give me number 1 UConn versus number 7 Marquette.
Okay.
Right now, UConn is ranked as a 1 seed. Marquette is ranked as a 2 seed. This has huge implications not only for the Big East tournament, but for the whole entire seeding in all of March Madness. Now, UConn, in between that Creighton and Marquette game, they play Seton Hall, who is on the bubble right now. Mm-hmm. It's this time of the season where all these teams start to face reality as am I going to make the tournament or am I not going to make the tournament? So they're going to play harder. Teams come to play is what I'm saying at this point in the season. Mm-hmm. They could very well drop that game against Seton Hall, which puts all the more pressure on the Huskies to win that Marquette game and secure that number 1 seeding in the bracket. If Marquette wins and UConn has lost those 2 games, they could have the 1 seed in all of March Madness. It just depends. But I have to go with this Marquette game. I think it's just so much more important than the Creighton game. I think the Seton Hall game is a little bit more weight on that game too, but I have to go with Marquette. There's so much there. Then I have to go from the women's side, Ohio State and Iowa. Same matchup as previously mentioned, but the seeding for implications is even just more of a risk here. One seed versus 1 seed on bracketology on ESPN, and also huge implications for the Big Ten tournament. I just have to go with Iowa versus Ohio State. Caitlin Clark going to show up against a team that she lost to previously.
Yeah, I think starting with the women's side, Ohio State versus Iowa seems to be a consensus answer here, but with reason. So I like that answer a lot. UConn and Marquette, slightly different than what he said with Creighton and Marquette. I like that explanation. UConn going down the stretch at Seton Hall, who's been very feisty all year, but like you said, bubble team. Should be really interesting to see how that plays out, especially in the Big East. And they got some good competition over there. So I like that answer a lot as well. All right, Tommy, round us off.
All right, I'm going outside the Big East here for the men's side just because I'm not really sold on any teams there just yet, aside from UConn until last night, apparently. They seem somewhat legitimate, but they're going to cannibalize themselves, I think, here down the stretch. So my biggest game is going to come from the SEC, and it's this regular season finale between Kentucky and Tennessee. Kentucky, a team that I think is very well poised for a national championship run if they can step up on the defensive side of the ball, and they just showed they could do that against Auburn, one of the hottest teams in the country, picked up a huge win out on the Plains the other day. But they're going to have to keep it rolling. They gave up over 100 points to Tennessee, and, Rick Barnes has them rolling too, and that's always going to be a really good team come tournament time. But to end off the regular season, I think that's going to be great. It's going to be very decisive for the SEC title race as they head into their tournament. And then on the women's side, I'm going to go outside the consensus here and say it doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because Dawn Staley, how South Carolina rolling, it doesn't matter what everybody else does. They're undefeated. No one's going to even come close to them in the tournament, and South Carolina's going to win the national championship with ease. Sorry, Caitlin Clark, you're great. But Dawn Staley and South Carolina are just way better as a unit.
That is probably very fair. We'll see how it goes down the stretch on the women's side for the bracket, but South Carolina has been rolling. I like the SEC call there. SEC not necessarily known for their basketball per se overall, but especially at this point in the season, Tennessee always seems to be ranked top 15, always seems to kind of choke, though, come the tournament time. Kentucky always dominant, like you said, and so we'll see how that goes. It's going to be very interesting to see. Okay, tough one to give out points here, for sure. With the 3, I'm going to give it to Grabiel to start off. I think Marquette versus Creighton, Marquette versus Creighton, especially without Creighton played last night. Going to be so fun to watch. Going to have a big impact down there in the Big East, or I should say up there in the Big East. With the 2, this one was tough for me. I'm going to give it to Robert just barely. UConn, Marquette, sticking in the Big East there. Got to give it to you. And with the 1, I'm going to give it to you, Tommy. Liked your answer a lot. Liked the other 2 just slightly better. Okay, moving on to the 3rd question. And sticking here with game outlooks, there were multiple NFL games last season that surpassed expectations greatly. What do you think the best game in the NFL was last season, and what made it so great? Robbie, we're going to start with you on the end down there.
Okay, all bias aside, I have to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Houston Texans in the middle of the season. This is at a point in time where the Texans were 4-4 and even 500 record, and yet people did not know, Texans fans did not know whether or not this was just a turnaround season or a season for opportunity. Baker Mayfield throws a 14-yard pass with 46 seconds left in the entire game. Texans have to go 75 yards down the field and score. How often do we see that in the NFL? No problem. I'll go 75 yards down the field in 6 plays and throw it as a rookie quarterback, go in my home stadium and do that, and throw it to my rookie receiver, Tank Dell, for 15 yards. What's crazier in a rebuilding year when you think you're just trying to turn it around with a new head coach and a new quarterback, when you can prove to your whole entire fan base and the greater landscape of the NFL that you actually have a chance to go to the playoffs? That was the game where all Texans fans realized, okay, C.J. Stroud is great, but now we know he's the quarterback for the future of our team.
Right. I really like that explanation there. Not only because everybody knows my love for the Texans, but it is very true. That game for both teams, very impactful. They're sitting around 500. Stroud leads them down the field in 46 seconds, something like that, with 1 or 2 timeouts. Ridiculous comeback. Great game all around. And I agree with you. That's when I feel like Texans fans kind of knew, hey, maybe we are for real. Maybe this is a for real team. Well, I like that answer a lot to start us off. All right, Tommy, let's hear it.
Well, I already know who's getting the 3, but I'll try my best.
You don't know yet.
I think the best game comes in the playoffs, in the NFC Championship, in the Detroit Lions against the San Francisco 49ers. Everybody learned so much from this game. Number one, I think you learned about the Detroit Lions. I think that they were going to be a staple in the NFC going forward under Dan Campbell. We learned that Dan Campbell, no matter what, is going to stick to his identity of playing dangerous football, even though it may seem to fans like it's a terrible decision. You could easily say the opposite if they convert on 4th downs or if they score touchdowns on 4th and goal. So I appreciate Dan Campbell sticking by his guns there and what he's done all season. And then you learn a lot about the 49ers, too. I think Brock Purdy proved himself in that game against a very good Lions defense and Lions secondary that really played well into the playoffs. And then the San Francisco 49ers defense as well, coming back from down 17 after giving up 2 quick touchdowns to start the game, responding strong in the second half and limiting Detroit on the offensive side of the ball. That was a hard thing to do all season, but Kyle Shanahan and the Niners were able to do it. Steve Wilkes, who I don't know why he was fired as defensive coordinator, did a fantastic job that game, and we learned the 49ers are going to be a staple in the NFC going forward as well, but we already kind of knew that. Yeah,
very true. I like that call a lot, especially not only because the stakes were high, but like you mentioned, it seems like every side of the ball, each team kind of proved their own type of thing. Goff can kind of play, they didn't win, but Goff could play in those bigger moments. San Francisco can come back from those type of leads, in that NFC Championship yet again, but this time can pull it out. That type of stuff, I think we did learn a lot, especially as fans of the game. So I like that answer a lot. All right, Grabiel, let's hear it.
I'm going to go for a game at near the end of the season, and that is the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. That was an excellent game. A close, real low scoring, 20-17 game. Another Allen Mahomes masterclass. For the world to see, and it had everything. It had you just knew that Mahomes was going to go down and somehow win the game against the Bills yet again. He had then had the controversy with who was it? Kadarius Toney lining up offsides in such a miraculous play by Travis Kelce, and that was a tough loss for Kansas City Chiefs. Barely losing to a rival like that in the regular season, but they took it, and I believe they went 8-1 through the rest of the season on their en route to another Super Bowl to go back to back. They took that loss, that really tough, heartbreaking loss against the team, and they just bounced right back to another Super Bowl win.
Yeah, absolutely. Chiefs versus Bills had it all yet again. You got Hardman at the 1-yard line fumbling. You got all that stuff from earlier in the year where the Bills won and the Chiefs drama and Mahomes getting mad at the refs. Every time those two teams play, madness will ensue, and it did indeed. So another great game there. Great answers from all you guys across the board there. Looking at points, I'm going to give it to you again, Grabiel. I think that was one of the best games of the season. Not only did it have everything, but I think a lot of people thought, hey, the Bills might finally do it. Mahomes and company were not as great as previous years, but they did it yet again. I'm going to give you the 3. With the 2, another close call here. I'm going to give it to Tommy, just barely. Like what you brought into learning about all that new squad, and I know, Robert G. I'm giving my Texans answer the 1. Great answer. Other 2 just slightly beat you out for that. And that will wrap things up for tonight's first round. Don't go anywhere. College Crossfire. We'll be right back.
sequence.
Where's this?
Welcome back into College Crossfire. Quick scoring update here. Grabiel Silva leads the way with 7 points. Tommy Yarrish right behind him with 6, and Robert Gonsoulin right behind him with 5. Still anybody's game to take, and let's now shift gears over to some different sports topics. The College Football Playoff Committee has approved the 5 and 7 playoff structure. This means the 5 highest-ranked conference champions plus the next 7 highest-ranked teams as determined by the CFP Selection Committee. That was quoted from, I believe, ESPN Online. What are your overall thoughts on this structure? And we're going to start with Robbie G on the end over there. And once we get our camera back, you will see we have nameplates shown for the audience as our graphics are not up there for the names. And that is okay. There's Robert. There he is.
All right. I think this is perfect. A perfect move for the college football landscape. For those who don't know, the Power 5 conference system, that's not a thing anymore with the Pac-12 going on. It's a Power 4. So with this system, before they voted on this, there was going to be 2 group of 5 teams. That's the MAC, Sun Belt, Conference USA, American, and I'm missing one more, but that means 2 of those Mountain West. Yep. 2 of those conference teams would have gone to the playoffs under this previously voted upon structure. They voted upon the new structure. Now it's the only 5 highest ranked conference teams, champions, are going to go. So only one power or group of 5 team is going to go, plus it adds a chance for another Power 5 team to go. They don't have to be a champion.
Yep.
I think it's the perfect balance for football where they only take 12 teams to the playoffs. It's the perfect balance between including a group of 5 team in the playoff structure and adding an even more talented Power 5 team there. College basketball, like, you can include a team from every single conference because the tournament is so big. The tournament is only 12 teams in college football, so there needs to be a bigger balance. They need more of the talented teams. So yes, let's knock off 2 group of 5 teams, stick with the Power 4 conference structure, and keep that one group of 5 team, and then make space for another Power 5 team in slots 6 through 12. So yes, it's a perfect move for college football.
There we go. Perfect move for college football. Emphasize the balance. I like it. It's kind of complicated to explain. There's just a lot of numbers, a lot moving on. But I like that answer a lot to start us off. All right. It's going to go to Grabiel, I believe.
I also believe that this is the perfect system. You can get there's 4 power conferences. ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and SEC. The conference champs, basically, they get an automatic bye. Then you have the group of 5 team. You can have them at the 12 seed or whatnot. But those 7 extra teams, think about how many good teams are going to have a chance now, from the Big 10 and, even the SEC, maybe even the Big 12. They're going to have a chance to be able to make it into the tournament. And, just like with any sport, any team can get hot. And anybody could have a chance at, making a run. I mean, in the end, it'll probably be an SEC team that wins it all. But still, I think it's also good for matchup-wise, because you're going to have a lot of teams going to the first round is on-campus playoff games. So, you can get a Big 10 team coming to, the Swamp, not the Swamp. Florida's not making the playoff, but to LSU or a big SEC stadium, or you can have these SEC schools going up to the frigid cold Big 10 schools in December. So I think that this format is really going to be something nice. I don't like that they're already thinking of making it 16 though. They need to see how it goes with 12. But I'm gonna say I like this as well.
I agree with you a lot. I mean, who knows? There's going to be a team that gets hot, like you said. I like that point a lot, and I like the point that you brought up. I mean, imagine going up and playing Penn State in the playoffs in December, and you're from the South. I mean, that is just a complete game changer. Craziness ensuing in college football. It is happening. I like that answer a lot. I like he brought in the weather a lot there. All right, Tommy, let's hear it with the nameplate. There he is, Mr. Tommy Yarrish.
What are we doing? Come on, man. All jokes. I'm going to disagree with my compatriots here. I think this is terrible. I think the 12-team playoff should never have been a thing. If it expanded, you expand to 6 maximum. You're adding way too many games, way too many more risks for injuries for players. But that's a whole different story. I think this model is even terrible. Why are Power 5 conferences getting auto bids? Sit and think about that. Why are they getting auto bids? Are you going to look at me in the eyes and tell me, with the new college football structure, that there's going to be a team from, the Pac-2, if that's what they're going for, or from the ACC, maybe a semi-decent Florida State team that's going to beat someone like a Texas or an Ohio State or a Michigan this upcoming year? Maybe not Michigan. They're kind of out of the picture, in my opinion. I think it should be just the best 12 at-large teams. When you think of the college football playoff in the past, it's been the top 4 teams as voted on by the committee. When did auto bids ever enter the picture? It was never discussed in the 4-team field. It shouldn't have been discussed in the 12-team field. This should be the best 12 teams in college football. Because here's the thing. The group of 5 team that gets in, a lot of people saying Liberty this upcoming season. Let's say Texas takes the 5 seed. Are you telling me that Liberty is going to come to Austin and beat Texas to move on to the college football playoff semifinal? If you do, sorry, you're an idiot. It's not going to happen. They're not going to, if it's Penn State at number 5, they're not going to go to Happy Valley in the freezing cold in the middle of December in a whiteout game and beat Penn State. Come on, that's just ridiculous. It should be the best 12 teams in college football because it always was the 4 best in college football. It should stay the same.
I love that answer, Tommy. I love the enthusiasm you had over there. 12 teams at large. The auto bids weren't really a thing. Now are very prevalent, obviously. Really like that answer from you over here. Different opinion than these two, and that's okay. Really respected it. All right, giving out points here. These are just great answers from you guys, by the way. My God. I'm going to give the 3 to Tommy. 12 at large, to me personally, makes the most sense. Why wouldn't it be the best 12 teams in the country? Why are people getting auto bids? I understand they're maybe winning their conference, whatever. I think 12 at large would be best. There's just so much turmoil going on, a lot of movement. I think that would be the best case scenario, and I really liked how you backed it up. With the 2, tough one to give here. Going to give it to Grabiel just because you mentioned the weather. I think that's going to play such an important factor that people aren't even really thinking about at this point. But like Tommy kind of mentioned as well, going up to Penn State in December, I mean, your chances of winning that game, no matter who you are,
it's not fun.
Very, very slim. Very slim. Robbie G, like your answer a lot, but I'm going to give you the one here, and still plenty of questions to come. Okay, moving over to the NBA. The All-Star break has come and gone, meaning we are now just past the halfway point of the season. What team do you think could have a surprising second half of the season, and why? Grabiel, we're going to start with you in the middle.
I'm going to go with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they have been looking really great. They sit, I believe, either at 2 or 3 in the East. They, right before the All-Star break, starting from January 3rd, they went on an 18-2 run. Heading into this All-Star break, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have been fantastic, and I think they're going to be able to keep it up as, it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep it up at post All-Star break, but I think they can, and I think it'll be, a very sleeper pick for the East.
Yeah, fair enough. Cavs been rolling, like you said, Donovan Mitchell over there, Darius Garland. Great little squad over there. We'll see if they can kind of climb up the ranks over there and see if they can make a good playoff push and get back to what LeBron James did for them, a few years ago. We'll see about that. Okay, Tommy, let's hear it.
Well, this might not necessarily be the most quiet team in the NBA. I think they've had a really good season this far. I'm going with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think this is a team that a lot of people thought maybe in the next 2-3 years would really be in serious title contention, but Sam Presti, with those 50 million draft picks that he acquired through trades when he took the job at OKC, has already done a phenomenal job of building a championship contending roster in a market like Oklahoma City, which is very hard to do. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is having an MVP-esque campaign, and he's leading the way for a very good team, very well-rounded team. Chet Holmgren is having a really good year now that he's healthy. He's been fantastic. They can win a championship, guys. I think they have a fantastic team, and I think they come out of the All-Star break very well.
Yeah, like that. The Thunder answer a lot as well. Not necessarily a surprise team, like you said, but well-coached, small market, but can already be competing for a championship. I agree with you there. All right, Robbie G, let's hear it.
I have to go with the Los Angeles Clippers, currently 3rd in the Western Conference right now. Not saying they're going to go win the NBA Finals, but the question was who could have a pretty big turnaround or surprise in the second half of the season. Right now, earlier half of the season, they went on that big losing streak. People were like, a team full of Harden, Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, how are they going to figure this out? Well, some gears sort of clicked. They've started to figure it out. This is kind of the most confident and smooth looking we've seen them play out of the All-Star break. I think that their coaching, it's just already insane right now. They have the mechanical gears to just kind of run a good offense and make a super team work like that. It's the most fluid I've seen them play out of the All-Star break. And I think right now, the whole rest of the half of the season to come along, they have a lot of chance to just prove everyone wrong and actually maintain they're in the 3 spot right now in the West. They have a chance to secure a 2 spot and kind of stay there for a while.
Yeah, I respect that answer a lot. I think when I saw James Harden go to the Clippers, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. Harden joining the team is going to be turmoil.
They figured
Who knows
it out,
what's going to
though.
happen? But you're right, they have figured it out. I think you answered the question really well there, so I like that a lot. All right. Giving out points here, Robbie G, you're getting that 3 over there. I'm not a believer in the Clippers per se, but I do think their second half of the season not only will be important, but could be very strong, as we saw towards that later half of the first part of the season. I'm going to give you the 3. The 2, Tommy, I'm going to give it to you. Thunder, I believe with you as well. They're very, very young, kind of remind me of the Orioles of baseball, but they do have enough talent on that roster to make a championship run. So I agree with you. The 1, Grabiel, like the Cav answer, but I think Thunder and Clippers, slightly better answers over there. Okay. You know my passion for the NFL, so for the 3rd question, I have to ask this to you before we get into rapid fire. What do you think could be the biggest trade this offseason in the National Football League? Who is involved and why? Tommy, we'll start with you next to me.
Well, you know how much it hurts for me to talk about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears, but we were kind of talking about this in the back before the show started. I think a move that could be very beneficial for both teams involved is if the Bears and Steelers come to an agreement where Justin Fields heads to Pittsburgh and becomes the quarterback of the Steelers. Now, Steelers, a playoff team, they made the playoffs last year. I really think they're a quarterback away from being a serious contender in the AFC. They have the defense. They've got the head coach in Mike Tomlin, who has yet to have an under 500 season in his stint at Pittsburgh. A guy like Justin Fields in a fresh environment that would have to be very quarterback friendly, unlike Chicago where we ruin quarterbacks, and that would be exactly what Pittsburgh is. So I think that would be a big win for the Steelers, and for the Bears it allows you to draft Caleb Williams, who I think is a generational quarterback talent. I mean, a lot of that term gets thrown around a lot, but I think Caleb Williams certainly fits that mold. We'll see if Chicago ruins him, but as of right now, it looks like he could definitely be a piece that, given guys like DJ Moore around him, if they take a wide receiver with the 9th pick, granted if they don't trade it, like a Roma Dunze or a Malik Neighbors, that could really captivate this offense because the Bears' defense is there as well. I think that's a top 10 unit next season. So really a win-win trade for both teams, I think, and it would certainly shake up how the NFC and AFC look next season.
Yeah, I think win-win, you kind of hit it on the head there. I could definitely see Fields in Pittsburgh, like you said. They do have some question marks. Maybe Najee Harris maybe isn't that guy. But it would definitely give a spark to a team that hasn't gone under 500, like you said. With Mike Tomlin, they're talented. They could make a little playoff run in the AFC. Who knows? I like that trade call a lot. All right, Robbie G, let's hear it.
You know, I'm going to go to New York, the Jets. We did not get an accurate representation of who they were last season because of the Aaron Rodgers injury. I'm going to go with a Devontae Adams trade from Oakland to the New York Jets. Let's expand this receiving core around Rodgers, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt again. Give him the accurate receiving core that he will have. You know, you already have Devontae Adams from the trade. You have Garrett Wilson at your receiver, and then you have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Let's make his receiving core more lethal. Then on defense, you've got a good defense. Sauce Gardner leading it. You know what happened last season. You know, all respect to Zach Wilson. I hope he finds a good spot to play in for his career. But I don't think that the Jets really want him right now, and their eyes are all focused on Rodgers. So put all your marbles in the Rodgers basket, and let's expand his receiving core. Give him one of his most lethal receivers of his entire career. Bring Adams to New York. Reunite the two. And I think that could really shake for a very deadly offense. Let's do that.
I like that call, Robert G. I like that. Reunite Rodgers and Adams like they did in Green Bay. That connection was strong. Like you said, Jets defense looked great last year. I know they didn't make the playoffs with the Rodgers injury and everything. But, man, Rodgers healthy, bringing in Adams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Whew, that is a top 5 offense for sure. I like that call a lot. All right, Grabiel, let's hear it.
I'm going to, put my take on the Justin Fields trade. I'm going to say that Justin Fields is going to get traded to Atlanta. Putting Justin Fields in that offense with Bijan, I think it's Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, is going to be an amazing offense. The Bears will be able to take Caleb Williams. They'll still have the 9th pick. Maybe Atlanta trades a 1 for Fields. So, Chicago could end up with 3 picks in the top 10. Chicago could draft for a receiver and maybe some offensive line help or some more help on the defense. So that'll be a win-win trade for the Bears. On the flip side, the Falcons, they really need a quarterback. I mean, you can't expect them to ride with Desmond Ridder again for another season. And a quarterback is probably the piece that they're missing to make the offense, really, really potent. So I think Justin Fields, could be a really good addition for the Falcons. And whatever they do with the rest of their picks, I heard our producer Justin Gooseman say that they need defensive help. So I'm going to say they're going to probably draft some defensive help. So I'm going to say, the first stepping stone to that is Justin Fields to Atlanta.
Okay, fair enough. Fields to Atlanta, Fields to the Steelers, Fields to Atlanta. Fields is going somewhere, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, a first from Atlanta for Justin would be great, by the way. Falcons, if you're watching, please.
Yeah. We'll see where Fields goes, or even if he does go. It's going to be very interesting. All right, great answers across the board, per usual, with the three. Gonna give it to Tommy here. I think the best fit for Fields is Pittsburgh, like you said. If the Steelers got him, I think that team goes from consistently 500 to now consistently at least 2 or 3, 4, whatever games above that. So he's a talented young guy. I like Pittsburgh for him there. Tough call here again, deciding between the 2 and the 1. Gonna give it to Robert. I know Adams going back to connect with Rodgers. Kind of a lot of pieces involved, whether or not trade, money, whatever. I do think that is actually realistic, though. I do think that could happen, and I do think Rodgers will pursue getting Adams. I mean, whatever Rodgers says kind of goes, kind of like Brady. So we'll see if that gets done. Number 1, Grabiel. I'm going to give you the 1 point. I do like Fields to Atlanta. I do think, though, that Pittsburgh is probably the better suitor, and I like how Robert G brought in Adams. So, all right. That great answers all around by our contestants. We've got rapid fire coming up next, along with a score update. Stay with us. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back into College Crossfire. We have a tight game right now with Tommy Yarrish right here in the first seat leading the way with 14. Then Grabiel and Robert both tied at 11. So anybody's contest to take as we enter into the final round of tonight's show that's worth double the points. And my advice to the contestants, don't get caught in the crossfire. Man, I love saying that to you guys. Let's get into our first question. The MLB and Nike have released the new jerseys moving forward for the players and fans. As MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said, the Nike Vapor Premier jersey was engineered to improve mobility, moisture management, and fit while keeping sustainability in mind, bringing inspiration and innovation to athletes. From a pure appearance standpoint, people are saying they look very fake and even like replicas. What are your thoughts on these jerseys, and what would you add to them to make them better and more fun? Anybody can start.
I'll start. I've already seen pictures going around about this, and to no one's surprise, it's Fanatics that's engineering and selling these jerseys to consumers as well. Fanatics, there's actually a Twitter account out there that's like Fanatics Fails or something that shows like the worst products that Fanatics just sends out to people. They're terrible. The jerseys look horrible. There's a picture of your very own Justin Verlander's jersey going around where, you know, if you have a longer last name, it tends to arch a little bit more. I mean, this one was just a straight half circle. Verlander's last name is not that long. What are we doing? And the most jarring thing to me, and what I would bring back, is a picture of the Seattle Mariners. Instead of stitching the logo onto their sleeve. It is a print sticker. This is the MLB. You make billions of dollars. Stitch the patch onto the jerseys, man. What are we doing?
Yeah.
How can you take that away? You have to stitch the back and the number anyways. What's one more patch? I hope they would stitch the numbers and nameplates too. Come on, Fanatics MLB. What are we doing?
Anything to add to the jerseys at all? I guess the patch?
The patch and the stitching
patch.
back.
Very fair.
Stitching is the best part of a jersey.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
I like that. Good call. Gotta love the stitch. Gotta love the stitch.
It makes it more authentic.
There you go. I like the passion there too, Tommy. Give him good passion tonight. All right. Grabiel, Robert.
I'm gonna go. My thoughts on these jerseys is they do look like kids' jerseys. It's like this is like Tommy said. This is Major League Baseball. I mean, I don't even know how long they've had these jerseys for. I mean, the jerseys have looked almost the exact same for decades, and they went and decided, let's make the letters smaller. Let's print stuff out. I mean, for hundreds of years, baseball players were going out there and just playing baseball. They didn't care about moisture-wicking, performance, sweat-based, thin clothing. The pants are see-through. I don't know if anybody saw the pictures. The pants are see-through. You can see the jersey being tucked in. It feels like, Little League uniforms. It's not the best look for MLB. You don't mess up something so perfect like that. The aura that MLB jerseys had, the aesthetic that it had, and you go and you mess it up with, like Tommy said, print on, patches, even minute details like the MLB logo being below the collar, the letters being, really wonky. Everything just looks really, really bad. My only thing is that I think they should revert back because, you could just tell with baseball, it's a really quality game, and seeing the jerseys that quality was like, yeah, there's a standard for baseball, and seeing that, fluctuation is, it's not a good sign.
Very well-worded answer. Two key points there. Kids' jerseys. They do look like kids' jerseys. I don't know what we're doing here. And the aura around baseball is, this is, America's pastime. This is America's game. That is what baseball is. These jerseys are not that. Like you said, you can see right through the pants. I don't know what we're doing here. I mean, imagine a guy, if you know who Daniel Vogelback is, dude's pushing 300 pounds. He's going to be sweating his butt off all game, and then it's just not a good
what
situation.
What are y'all looking at? Jesus.
I mean, it's going around. It's going around.
Come
all
on,
right,
man.
Let's hear it, Robert G.
One thing I would do is, let's just set the tone straight. These jerseys need to be more organized. I think, like you said, the prints are all over the place. They look like kids' jerseys. We have nameplates on the back making an arch, as Tommy said. First off, let's not even get near that issue. Let's just make the font smaller.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I know they have to arch a little bit on the jersey, but does that have to arch that much? Just make it a little bit smaller. These are simple fixes that you can do. Also, I'd say baseball is a sport where a lot of different jerseys are used. The NBA, you use a lot of different styles of jerseys. One of those styles is, just wear the vest jersey without the sleeves. These jerseys aren't very fun to even wear for players probably or look at. So let's let the players use other parts of their uniforms like their undershirts and use that to look like it's part of their jersey. When in reality it's not. Let's just switch them to the vest jerseys maybe so it's less of them are taking up their uniform, or let's also just minimize the amount of patches and sponsors on these jerseys, make it more organized. It looks so ambiguous right now. Let's just make it look professional.
I like that a lot. Yes, make it look more professional. I liked how you brought in that they're the MLB is now using kind of different jerseys. It's not like City Connect, but kind of like that where it's you got the retros, you got these type of these type. I mean, no matter what they're wearing with that style, it's just not going to look good. It's not going to be fun. Right. Not going to be good. So I like that a lot as well. Great answers from you guys, and I'm not going to tell you who's getting those points because I would tell you at the very end of the game. Okay, moving on to our next question. The NBA All-Star Court was another controversial sports topic this past week. The court had interactive LED lights that allowed fans to see all sorts of things, such as players, symbols, and more. If you could display one thing on this court to help bring in the most attention or viewership, what would it be and why? Anybody can go.
Wow, I thought you were going to ask us how to fix the All-Star game or something.
No. What do I want to see on that court if I want to tune into an All-Star game like that?
I got it. So, we saw the dunk contest last year. A couple weekend ago, we seen it last year. We seen it every year. We see the skills competition every single year. There's always these in the 3-point contest, the All-Star game. There's always these stats or competitions that these records that players are trying to beat every year in these contests. You know, the 3-point shooting contest record. Oh, for example, will Steph Curry beat that record this year? When someone is going up on the 3-point contest, let's put the winners in these stats, the record holders. Let's put the record holders on those LED courts, and it says something like score to beat, like 28, or dunk contest score to win, or highest dunk contest score, like how many 50s you've ever gotten, Zach LaVine. Let's put like records and you know, stats on the court so that when people are watching, they know that they're about to see history. If a player is approaching that, they know what they need to beat in order to get the highest score of all time. Let's put stats and records as a player is going that appear on the court for a couple seconds as they go.
Robert G, I like the answer to start us off. I like the fire. That'd be great, especially as a betting man myself. I want to see the record on there. Let's say, let's go, Steph. Beat it. I like that a lot. Great start to that question. Let's hear it.
All right, so first of all, I think you kind of have to minimize a little bit what you put on the floor just because that can get a little bit distracting for everyone. But when it comes to what you put on there, I think something that would be really cool, especially from a viewer's perspective, and maybe even those at the game sitting higher in the stands, is shot charts from the floor. So let's say Steph Curry takes a three. The spot from where he takes a three, you put a dot on the floor. If it goes in, you make it green. If he misses, make it red. And you do that for every player on every team. And then you keep a live score count in the middle of the court. That way you don't necessarily need a score block at the bottom of the screen. You don't have to divert people's eyes that way, but you can look at the score every single time the teams are running up the floor. And the teams can do the same thing. They can just kind of glance down at the floor. They can see where they've shot the ball well, where they haven't shot the ball well. Everybody wins.
Wow, I like that. Seeing where players are shooting, maybe helping them out, that'd be pretty cool to see. I like that answer a lot, too. All right, let's hear it, Grabiel.
I think both of those answers are good, but me personally, I think that what you need to put on the NBA All-Star court is something else because nobody's even watching the game in general. All right, 211 to 186. What are we doing? All right, that is the most it's so boring. Even the dunk contest, 3-point contest. I only tuned in for the Steph versus Sabrina 3-point shootout, and even then it was over in like 5 minutes. So I think on the LED court they need to show something else to distract me from watching that terrible product that they put out every February. So I'm just gonna have to go with that. Just something else.
Is that even an answer?
Something more entertaining than whatever they put.
I like the passion, though, behind it. Just anything else besides what's on the court. Because the All-Star Weekend, fair enough. That's a good answer. I like that. Okay, given the points there, not going to tell you what. Moving into our last question of the night. Here we go. Last month, Tiger Woods and Nike went separate ways with their branding deal and partnership after 27 years together. This brings me to the final question of the night, bearing a tie, of course. What is/was your favorite Nike piece of apparel or equipment, and why? Can be anything, any type of equipment, anything.
Are we talking golf specifically?
Anything.
Or?
Nope, doesn't have to be just golf.
Okay. I'll go here. I think this is an iconic one for everyone in sort of our age demographic growing up. The Nike Elite socks were the absolute best piece of equipment that Nike ever made. You can wear it to basketball, you can wear it in football. So versatile, just fantastic all around. Nike Elite socks, even to this day, by far the best product that Nike's ever put forth.
That is a very strong answer to start us off, I will say. Nike Elite socks were awesome and still are awesome. Let's hear it. Anybody else?
I have to go with the Nike Flyknit shoes, running shoes. You know, when those first came out, that was like a whole different line of tennis shoes that you could wear, made of completely different material and the coolest colors ever. It practically looked like a tennis shoe made out of like obviously like Flyknit, but made out of, it looked like it was made out of like fabric or something, you know? No one's ever seen that material.
They're all made out of fabric.
Well, yes, but this is Flyknit, okay?
My bad.
Who remembers all the bright colors? At the time, it was cool. That's why they all called us like we looked like highlighters when we were growing up with all the neon colors we were wearing. The fly knit shoes were probably the coolest thing ever.
Man, fly knits are good. You can decorate them yourself. Great answer again. All right, Grabiel, let's hear it. Last answer of the show.
I'm gonna go with the most iconic shoes probably in history, and that's the Air Jordans. You know, these shoes have been iconic. They've been around for so long. It's probably not the best answer. I didn't have much Nike stuff when I was younger, but I'm gonna go with the Jordan shoes. They're really iconic. Jordan really set the Nike standard back in the 80s and 90s, and I think that is probably one of the best Nike products ever made.
Wow. Okay. Great answers across the board there. Man, you guys really did not make my job easy tonight. But adding up the points, there is no tie. We do have a winner. Quick little drum roll, please. The winner is, by 1 point, Tommy Yarrish wins his third in a row. Wow, what a show. Do we have time for FaceTime?
Time for a very quick
Wow.
Sorry, haters. Once again, I want to send a very deep and grateful thank you to my family, my beautiful girlfriend, my roommate Ezekiel, who asked me to shout out his Instagram. I completely forgot it. I'm so sorry. The wonderful crowd here tonight, even though they all despise me. Our fantastic host, Ryan, my compatriots alongside me. You guys were fantastic to compete with. And once again, like the great Kobe Bryant said, job's not finished. We go for 4.
Well, congrats to you again, Tommy, and that will wrap things up for us here tonight at TSTV. Thank you to everyone who makes the show possible, from the contestants, in-studio personnel, master control, and to you, the audience especially. I'm your host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we'll see you guys next week.